The extraterrestrial leaders assembled around the magnificent holographic show of their eyes centered on the image of Earth. A little blue planet adrift in the wide expanse of space, each of them had conquered innumerable worlds, slipping effortlessly under their sophisticated technology and their strategic power. Earth was just another planet, no difference. Planet to assert, but after reviewing, one name emerged for Earth's defenses. A name from previous bouts, one time and again, that seems to be practically legendary among the people that the aging soldier had battled in Earth's previous conflicts. Known for his unwavering resolve and unparalleled talent in battle, but he was getting older, and he was no longer on active duty. The extraterrestrial leaders chuckled years ago, laughed that people would gaze at a worn-out veteran as a representation of their protection. The concept of a single aging, it was ridiculous for a soldier to pose a threat. Smug and self-assured, the commander made fun of the, "Is this the best they can do? Soldier?" Must provide an elderly man with a past of conflicts, but his body was empty. However, the others laughed at brittle bones. They nodded in agreement as they observed Earth's dependency on an antiquated figure they thought it was a sign of weakness. Validated all of their assumptions. Discusses people's brittle, transient, and obstinately devoted to heroes of the ago. A different commander added it is practically an insult to the mockery. Our troops, even to get ready for this invasion, we have destroyed empires. What can one elderly guy do for civilizations? They spoke about what they may do to stop us. Tactics in a nutshell, yet their conceit made them recklessly disregard any necessity for intricate preparation. They thought their superior firepower and sophisticated, it would be easy for weapons to destroy Earth's defenses irrespective of the leader that people came together to support. Despite their, a younger officer laughed and held out a tiny caveat that he had already studied documents and recognized. That undervaluing any adversary, particularly one with a long history of combat, was unsage, commander. He carefully stated this: a soldier has endured conflicts that many, even though he was older, didn't. His real skill is the foundation of reputation. Maybe we should proceed cautiously. Senior commanders dismissed the perhaps. One responded with a warning: skill, but age cannot be outstripped by skill. He is nothing but a remnant of the past, regardless of the strength we sweep through once it's far gone. Their defenses, and should he show up, smash him as if he were a weak old man, become content with their termination. They proceeded with the invasion. Strategies that allocate very few resources should approach the soldier with the assurance that he would provide minimal opposition. They put their strongest efforts on other targets who believed he was just as a footnote to the conquering, distraction for Earth. They had plans as they completed their preparations. The alien commander's confidence increased as they imagined, convinced that Earth's fall would be. They were quick and decisive. Yet they didn't see the actual danger does not come from an elderly soldier, yet in someone that they hadn't expected, who had gained knowledge from the trained soldier beneath him and wasn't weak, or their estimate was so antiquated, so full that they were unaware that they were preparing for conflict. Not like any they had previously battled, were ready to confront a world that might give up without anticipating significant opposition. The commanders had no belief that Earth has a secret power, one they wouldn't understand until they ceased their retreat, since it was too late. Briefing, completely certain of each alien commander's impending success, more positive than the previous one that Earth's defenses would break down, and it would be simple for them to conquer. Shut off the holographic screen, using expressions of smugness, prepared to bring their forces to exert on a planet that they thought would hardly resist the stages prepared to invade, but they soon, overconfidence, would be destroyed. In his peaceful house, the elderly soldier sat. Considering the years he has served, his physique displayed the scars from innumerable conflicts, scars that each conveyed a bravery tale. Age had slowed him down, but his devotion, his memories were vivid, and his mind stayed sharp. While he readied himself for what could be his last stand, he collected his used equipment. Every item serves as a remembrance of the conflicts waged. Despite triumphs achieved, he was aware that this time he had never encountered an enemy like this before. Prior to the alien commander's assurance, and he was viewed as no threat by their superiority. They dismissed him as a fool and made fun of his age. Someone who was not a threat to he was aware of their advanced forces, their haughtiness and disrespect, because of what he stood for to them. Just an elderly man past his best, holding on to a past they didn't think no longer mattered, but the soldier was aware his value, and the stakes involved in this wasn't merely another conflict, but rather a protection of his family, his people, and he wasn't everything he valued. Striving for notoriety or glory when he was struggling to survive, his reflections shifted to his life's legacy. He had committed himself to safeguarding people, and he knew in his heart that he couldn't allow his without even doing his hardest. The planet fell. If standing by yourself against a tremendous power, as he stood there prepared himself for the work that lay ahead of him. Daughter seemed strong and determined, and competent in her own right, having been taught by from an early age, she had inherited him. His steadfast commitment to fairness and bravery, and the spirit of a warrior that burned even more brilliantly than he did, refused to let go and insisted on accompanying him. He initially faces this problem by himself. He refused because he didn't want her to take a chance. Her life did not wish for her to experience the burden of combat in the manner that he had. He had battled to protect her in order to make sure the burdens would never fall on her. Although he had carried, her resolve was she was unquestionably a fighter at heart. She is as skilled and courageous as he is, wouldn't give up on this battle, not from protecting her beloved world. He ultimately gave in after witnessing her commitment. He understood that her power was not simply bodily. It was also one of attitude of unwavering devotion to keep her safe. He observed her family and her goal planet. Extension of his personal journey, a warrior who is prepared to continue his legacy and withstand any opponent despite the odds. She was more than only his daughter, she was also a force must be considered, and he was aware of together they would make him proud of her. He was ready for the upcoming battle. Shared his tactics and expertise from years of fighting, taught her everything. He was aware that they trained together, improving their abilities and polishing their instincts, preparing for everything the extraterrestrial powers could throw at. He experienced a renewed feeling of purpose as a result. A strong sense of pride as she embraced the challenges ferociously as he formerly had. Their ties reinforced with every second that goes by is an indestructible partnership built on love, respect, and the soldiers' shared resolve that they stood amidst her by his side. Taking on chance in the face of an army that considered them to be nothing more than remnants of a backward world, he saw that this was more than just his fight, it was together. They would display an alien invades a father's power and daughter united in purposeful combat for all that they valued as he felt more confident as he prepared. He was no longer afraid of the future. Rather, he had a calm assurance that thought that their combined power was anything that was impossible for the aliens to expect, that they were ready and willing to confront whatever came their way with determination. To demonstrate that the defenders of Earth were far stronger than the extraterrestrial leaders have always envisioned, the military was in his daughter and no longer alone. He glimpsed all of his possessions' future. Fought because the conflict started with Earth's defenders encountering extraterrestrial forces confront the veteran soldier with years of experience. Of expertise moved precisely in purpose, he was familiar with military methods, recognized each strength and weakness, and kept a sharp eye out for chances. In the middle of chaos, his daughter was by his side, matching his intensity of her emotions, swift, and determined that every behavior is evidence of the ability she acquired under his direction. While they battled, the alien troops were taken by surprise and discovered that they'd expected a swift, easy sweep, but rather, they encountered a defense that was surprisingly well planned. The ancient soldier's skill and resilience performed maneuvers with ease and practice, predicting their every action and taking advantage of any little absence from his daughter. Mimicked his tactics with her speed, and her agility makes her a dangerous foe, even to the prideful alien warriors themselves on their advanced skills. The father and daughter took up residence. Smooth coordination, a combination of the soldier's vigor and experience, consistent strategies that matched his daughter's inventiveness and courage. She wasn't constrained by the rigorous guidelines of engagement he was aware of, but she adopted by employing unorthodox techniques that confused and lost their adversaries. The extraterrestrial forces used to predictable conflicts ended up at a disadvantage when it comes to keeping up with the erratic and unforgiving the daughter's method of fighting was. Her strikes were as fierce as her spirit, quick, accurate, and relentless, each strike supported by her will to defend her house. She battled not only with expertise but with a goal that embodies her father's fortitude and tenacity had taught her. Her presence the battlefield was an independent force, opposing the foreign troops' presumptions regarding the fragility of humans. They had not anticipated this degree of opposition, even if it comes from someone so young. The aliens' initial movements, the soldier's confidence started to falter. Experience and the audacity of his daughter threw them, breaking their formation. The alien commanders were thrown into chaos. Observing at a distance, found it difficult to recognize the manner in which these two people were making such a big impression. They had disregarded the fortifications of Earth as weak, disorganized, and antiquated. But here were two combatants whose skill and unity make them almost invincible, even opposing superior alien technology as the extraterrestrial forces advanced in the combat. tried to reorganize, but every attempt was greeted by quick, well-considered blows from the old soldier, and his daughter expected their tactics to be shut off. Their progress as his daughter exploited each and every gap, using the mayhem to erode their numbers. The extraterrestrial troops, who were taught to adhere to strict commands, were unable to adjust to this degree. Of the father's years of uncertainty, wisdom, in addition to his daughter's new strategies, turned every conflict into a nightmare for its adversaries. What the extraterrestrial commanders were unaware of was that they weren't engaged in combat with the typical conflict they faced was a relationship built on years of trust training and a same goal. The soldier, additionally, his daughter, wasn't only protecting the area, they were protecting their people, their world, and their legacy. For them, this was more than simply a battle. It was a dedication that demonstrated everything they cherished, and every action they took was motivated by a strong sense of the alien invaders could not imagine. Every time the alien wins on the field, troops became more cautious, and their first frustration took the place of confidence and bewilderment that they had undervalued their rivals. And it was an error. They were paying for the alien with great care. Soldiers discovered they were up against not only two people, but a well-coordinated with an unbreakable spirit. The father's constant guidance in helping his daughter, in addition to her unwavering resolve, turned them into a team that possesses no sophisticated weapons may win the fight with ease. Continuing, and with each moment that goes by, the extraterrestrial forces lost ground, found it difficult to keep control, and was unable to anticipate or oppose the infinite force against them. The extraterrestrial leaders, observing when troops falter, it is discovered too late that they had seriously miscalculated their adversaries. What they believed to be a simple conquest was becoming a battle for survival of the elderly soldier and his, despite the chances against her, the daughter. On their success, unwavering in their resolve, wasn't just the product of talent or strategies, it was the result of a collaborative dedication. A link more powerful than any weapon used by the arriving alien forces, with conceit and contempt, were now battling to resist the unrelenting of father and daughter's strength, who refused to give over control of the soldiers' leadership and the fierceness of his daughter. The battlefield had changed due to resolution, transforming an invasion into a strong evidence of human tenacity. As the combat drew to bring the alien forces to a halt, started to painfully withdraw from each soldier. Conscious that two had surpassed them, people they had judged irrelevant, the elderly soldier and his daughter steadfastly held a symbol of Earth's power. The extraterrestrial leaders, feeling defeated and humbled, they recognized that they, with a calm assurance, commanders who are steadfast in their focus after extensive training, had encountered not a straightforward defense, but a power fueled by a connection they could neither comprehend nor destroy. The old, despite his injuries, the soldier led his daughter as she assumed leadership and applied. She moved with each instruction he gave her, meeting the alien currently in the core of the conflict. That she displayed the full scope of her abilities. She had taken in not just her dad's methods, but also his flexibility and the capacity to read rivals and determine the alien leader's shortcomings. Were initially contemptuous, but undervaluing her in light of their presumptions regarding human restrictions. As they attempted to capture, she dodged them with accuracy that surprised them. She didn't depend only on brute force, but in conjunction with her quick wit and keen consciousness of her environment. Her straight eyes was erratic due to a number of strategic actions that left the commanders having trouble keeping up. Utilized the terrain's ability to change between covers and wide terrain that is constantly one step ahead, compelling the extraterrestrial leaders to reconsider their strategies. Her actions were never ending. But it wasn't blind hostility, and every blow and every move was intentionally designed to erode the strength of the enemy and morale. She realized that this conflict wasn't just regarding athletic prowess, it was an examination of endurance. A conflict in which each move had repercussions as she applied pressure to the alien leaders. They started to lose their cohesiveness. Their early self-assurance was shattered due to her unwavering resolve. The extraterrestrial leaders were forced into a corner to react to a combat style that they weren't ready for. Her fathers taught her the value of endurance, and for the ideal opportunity to attack, she carefully heeded this advice, carefully selecting her activities with the goal of exhaust and perplex her opponents instead, then use force to overpower them. The accuracy was unsettling to the commanders, who had never come across such opposition, particularly not from they had judged each human being to be less than maneuver. The commanders became increasingly confused. They discovered too late that their inflexible tactics couldn't compete with her flexible strategy. For the young warrior expected their actions to offset their assaults, and taking advantage of any error. The alien leaders, who had been trained to obey battle path patterns, but found it difficult to rectify their remaining lack of flexibility. Their susceptibility and her unwavering pressure started to have an adverse effect on the commanders tried to reorganize, but she had already benefited from the edge. The lessons she learned from her father had given her every action was smooth, designed to interfere with their formation. Keeping them from taking back control, she used a variety of attacks. Erratic strategy that compelled the commanders to divide their attention, reducing the strength of their group. She quickly identified any shortcomings in their coordination is extremely accurate, while each of their defenses was at its lowest. The tension was now felt by the alien commander. She undermined their self-confidence. Perseverance that they never anticipated only used the defensive lead in opposition to a single person. As the conflict progressed, they could observe how thoroughly she had been trained. Punishment imposed by her father's mentoring, she battled quietly. Ferocity that gave each move intentional with each strike. Her determination was an indestructible quality, inherited from her educator father. Her to battle not only with physical might but possessing a strategic mindset and an uncompromising. Once the alien commanders were certain of they were now on the brink of superiority, of defeat, they were unable to comprehend how a one person had succeeded in disassembling their tactics, nor were they able to understand the origin of her tenacity. They started to realize it was a personal war, not an average one. Driven by something more profound than straightforward defense, she battled for more than just triumph, but to preserve her father's legacy. Left a legacy of courage for her, honor, and the determination to defend. In a final, she confronted the alien leader's unwavering position. They attempted to subdue her, but she encountered their assaults with determined defiance. She swiftly reacted to every motion she made, and specific, each of which is evidence of her. The alien commanders learned from their father. Weary and outmatched, they started to falter. Their loss was evident, and they understood that they had not only miscalculated her strength, but the spirit of humanity itself. At the conclusion of the conflict, the alien commanders have to acknowledge their failure. They had misjudged a power. It was not able to be measured by technology or rejected by physical limitations. Her triumph wasn't just a lesson in respect, yet a triumph of skill. A reminder, however, that Earth's defenders few used a force that was incapable of the alien commanders can be easily defeated. Left them with a broken sense of confidence that they had encountered not only in solitary fighter, but a force brought together by goal and constrained by legacy. The extraterrestrial, now retreating commanders found it difficult they had arrived to process their defeat. With overwhelming strength, confident in their simple victory, but they had to depart feeling humbled by an unforeseen and strong defense. Their troops had been dispersed, their ranks were shattered, and the realization was shattered by confidence. Realized that they had been vanquished not by cutting-edge technology or numbers, but by a connection more powerful than everything they had come across in the past. Despite his wounds, the soldier remained tall. A silent strength with his daughter between them, radiating, they had lost. By unity rather than just brute force, tenacity and intent of the invaders who had now arrived on Earth in a haughty manner. Realized they had encountered something they can't understand. Their sophisticated tactics and exceptional weaponry had been surpassed by a straightforward, unwavering resolve and resolution that couldn't be defeated. Since the commanders returned to their ships, they looked at each other. They are experiencing the consequences of their failure. They had disregarded the defenders of Earth as weak, unimportant, and inconsequential. Now that they realized they had misjudged not just the human strength, but also the depth. Despite their bravery, the ancient picture, the soldier and his abrasive daughter, stayed ingrained in their thoughts, a representation of opposition they hadn't anticipated in the aliens' last moments on Earth. Commanders considered their resources. Observed the conflict had demonstrated to them that human power was not derived from physical strength by itself, but from an indestructible spirit. They had come across something they were unable to forecast or assess, a force derived from pride, loyalty, and the unwavering determination to keep it safe. Was a force that went beyond strategies or one weapon that they were unable to duplicate or oppose. The daughter, standing next to her father, she experienced a profound feeling of achievement in understanding that they had safeguarded their house. Understood that their triumph was greater rather than a personal victory. It was evidence of their connection to everything she demonstrated, what her father had taught her. Herself deserving of his legacy, and together, they had demonstrated the alien leaders that the defenders of Earth were not to be undervalued. This conflict, which had not only kept their house safe but had placed a long-lasting effect on individuals who had attempted to subjugate it. As the extraterrestrial fleet departed, the commanders spoke to each other. of caution, promising to never go back. They had gained knowledge of an important lesson that would reverberate across their ranks on Earth. Was not your typical planet and its guardians. Were not like any they had ever seen. They would take this information with them. It a cautionary tale for those who might think of Earth as a simple target. They had encountered a force that was motivated by anything much more powerful than they could comprehend, rooted in legacy honor. This energy is enduring connection in the silent aftermath during the conflict. The elderly soldier and his daughter stood with her, both of them knowing of the effect that their actions had not only preserved their planet, but had conveyed a message to individuals who would endanger it. They had demonstrated that Earth's technology did not define strength, any figures, but by the bravery of its people would remember their victory. A tale of fortitude and solidarity that the alien would motivate others. Commanders fleeing in defeat were aware that this would always be remembered by them encounter. They had arrived on Earth, anticipating a simple victory, only to discover defeated by a force they possessed. Didn't understand their loss was a humble reminder that genuine power could not be determined using traditional norms, that they were compelled to acknowledge the strength of human resiliency, a force that had shown itself more powerful, greater than any weapon or strategy they had. As the alien commanders were departing, had a deep regard for the defenders they had previously disregarded, had discovered that humanity, however, despite appearing delicate, he was able to intense, unwavering determination. They were aware of this lesson serves as a cautionary tale for others who could be willing to undervalue Earth. The battle's memories would continue to serve as a reminder that the most powerful forces could be vanquished by those who battled for more than themselves, but ultimately for something bigger. The only option available to alien commanders was to depart defeated and altered forever. They had come across a power that could not defeat a power confined by their loss, had demonstrated their love and dedication. That the defenders of Earth were a powerful force must be taken seriously, and they were aware of that they would never undervalue the strength of human resiliency. The ancient standing with his daughter is a soldier. They had accomplished more than just winning a fight together. They had ensured that their legacy would endure.